Hi, Dutch. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today. I'm really happy and honored to interview you because Horror in the High Desert is genuinely one of my favorite horror saga, and this is true. So I'm really glad. I've been talking a lot about your films in France recently, and I've always been very vocal about the fact that for me, this is the most terrifying horror saga out there and in found footage. Today, we talk about the release of the fourth film, but also about the saga as whole, its atmosphere, its use of fear, and the mystery that keeps pulling viewers deeper into the high desert. Before we dive into this question, could you briefly introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and say a few words about Horror in the High Desert and what this saga represents for you?
Of course, and thank you for the kind words. It's still crazy to me to see this series resonate with audiences because it doesn't rely on spectacle or huge set pieces. It's incredible to me to see it reach your platform and you guys. It's very validating. And it brings me back to what I love about this series, which is, to me, at its core, these stories are something that represent, to me, my favorite kind of fear, which is the fear of the unknown. I think it really taps into that, and I think that's what a lot of people really connect with on like a deeper level, because the unknown to me kind of represents something like wondrous about the world in general, because maybe we haven't discovered everything there is to discover in the world, and who knows what's out there lurking in the desert.
The only things that survived the fire were the things that we had in the root cellar, and that's where Gerald found it.
We all had to know what was in that box.
I love that it feels like that to you, because that is one of the most intentional parts of this series, is that I wanted it to come across as something that does feel discovered, really, and not authored. Something that people would watch and be like, wait, is this real? Is this... which I get a lot, and it's like the highest compliment. It kind of came about because of my love for like Unsolved Mysteries, the TV show. I just love a mystery. Even if we never find out like the core answer, which there's still so many people that are like, where's Gary?
Where is Gary? Please, I need to know. I really need to know. Where is Gary? It's haunting me. It's haunting me.
I get it all the time. It's so funny. And I'm like, we might get there. We might get there. But kind of it came about through my love of mysteries, shows like Unsolved Mysteries, Dateline, I love, but also growing up where I grew up. It's like I live here in Los Angeles now, but I grew up back where these movies take place, northeastern Nevada, actually. It's a town called Ely. It's tiny little mining towns. I think the population today is maybe like, it always kind of stays around 4,000. I think it's number 4 or 5 in the top 5 most, I think it's most isolated or remote, towns in the United States. So you are truly in the middle of nowhere and you feel it. So growing up, I just always, my imagination was like crazy out there. I was always outdoors. I was never home, like watching. I mean, I watched cartoons, but me and my cousins were always out like building forts and playing. And I always had this feeling of like, what else is out here? There can't be just like deer and, wild animals. There's got to be some other creepy shit out here. I love horror movies, and I love this question too because no one has ever asked me this, and I had never really thought about that. But I did have a cool experience. So I don't really watch them casually ever, because to me it's like, if I'm around friends, I feel painfully aware of every decision, the seams of everything, the editing, and it's almost impossible to immerse myself in it in a way that other people can. And I don't think that like crafting fear or horror necessarily makes you immune to it. Because I feel like if I were ever to truly feel safe from the ideas that I present in these movies, I don't know that they would continue to work as well. But I did have an awesome experience one time. I took an edible, that's legal here in the US, and watched part 2. And like 20 minutes into it, I forgot I was watching my own movie. I was like, what? I made this? It was the coolest experience. That was, I think, the only time I was like floored by my own movie, just because it was like I was watching it from someone else's body. But when I do start working on another one, I'll rewatch the whole series because I do need to see it from an audience's perspective. And there's some things I forget. I'm like, oh, wait, I need to circle back to that.
So you discovered it again, and
yeah.
do you feel fear?
I think I get uncomfortable, absolutely, in some scenes, like the car scene in part 2. Yeah, that always makes me like, oh. Just her performance, the way she screams, I'm a mom, I have a baby, is like chilling to the bone. I think the end of part 1 definitely gets me a little spooked. But I love watching other people's horror. that will scare me. I worked so hard on the sound for this, longer than anything. It was so tedious, and I really wanted the sound and the audio to be kind of the equivalent to something like when you're in a dark room or watching something scary, like you're in a Halloween haunted house and something brushes up against your leg. I wanted it to be, the audio to be like that, but for your mind. Something that's unidentifiable. Like a lot of these sounds aren't meant to be identified, but to make you wonder what they are. And that's always been a big thing for me, is audio, because it does ignite your imagination and it can really just make you feel so uneasy. It's one thing to not know what you're looking at, but to not really know or be able to identify what you're hearing while you're seeing something frightening is, to me, the most wonderful thing to play with. And some of these sounds, too, the way I got them for this movie were so, if you could see me doing them, you'd laugh. A lot of it is me like doing things with my mouth into this crazy microphone and then warping it and distorting it. It was an interesting process. I looked like a crazy person doing it, but I think it worked out. And it's so awesome to hear people connect with it and notice it, because it really took a lot of time. I love audio. I'm very inspired by David Lynch. This is my David Lynch art piece back here. By all of his work, his sound design is just, it's its own part of the movie, you know? It really like pulls you in. So when I did part 1, I absolutely knew that I wanted it to be a series, just like Dateline or Unsolved Mysteries. For people that don't watch it, Dateline is like a docu-series where every episode they chronicle a true crime thing or some mystery. And you meet the family, just like in Horror in the High Desert, you meet the sister, the cousin, and they kind of help put the patchwork together for the story. When I first conceived part 1, the direction it has gone now, there are main thematical elements of it, yes, that I wanted there, but all these other side things were just kind of organically grew out of the central mystery. But the central mystery and the through line of what is going on in the desert and what this menacing threat is, what these creatures are, that has always been there from the beginning. The world that has kind of grown around it, a lot of these characters and stuff, those have kind of been like born along the way, some of them. So it's kind of a little of both. I definitely, had I asked myself then if this is where it would have gone, I would have not had any inkling this is where it would be. But thematically, yes, I always wanted it to be a story that revolved around these creatures in the desert and how they affect other people that are in isolation dealing with them. So it's really turned into its own thing, and I love that I can play with it now. Part 5 is, what I've learned with this series is that when there's an audience that trusts you with something this intimate and unsettling, I have to respect that, and I owe it to them to treat it with patience and craft and thoughtfulness and how it's resolved in a way to them that feels like thematically and story-wise resolved. But that doesn't mean that part 5 will be the end. I don't want this series to continue past part 5 without people feeling like they've earned what they've been in this journey for. That doesn't mean every single question is going to be answered, but the main ones that I feel like should be answered will absolutely be answered, and not in a way that's going to be like a Scooby-Doo monologue at the end where someone's like, and then this, and because of this, blah, 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 but in a way that they're presented to you and you can connect the dots. Like I said, I don't want to prolong anything. Like part 5 is going to really kind of wrap it up in the sense of a bunch of lingering questions, but that doesn't mean it has to be the end of it.
Okay. And so you will say goodbye to found footage?
No, I definitely love found footage. I'll keep making, I mean, I'm wearing a final footage t-shirt. I definitely will continue found footage, not for every project, because I've made movies that are not found footage before, but Horror in the High Desert was my first kind of like breakthrough film, and it's because I connected with it in the way that I did. So I'll never leave found footage. I'll always have some found footage projects in me.
Okay. Thank you. It's perfect to finish that. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you to offer us brilliant, frightening movies, really.
Thank you for your time, and thank you to Shadowz. Hello, France, and goodbye, France, and I hope to see you soon.